Hello, hello, and welcome to Decaf, a production of the Beacon Center of Tennessee. Taylor and Mark are with you on this sunny Tennessee morning that's going to turn into a stormy morning. Mark, I almost said we should talk about the weather this time because this weather that we've been having is not summer weather. I'm sorry. Save the severe thunderstorms and the flooding and all that crap for the spring. I thought we were past it when we got past April. And it has been, I messaged you the other day. I was freaking out. I think it was Tuesday night. I kept hearing thunks outside. Our trash can fell over. It's not been ideal summer weather for me, and the air conditioning is out in our church and it's so hot. We're like it's either blazing hot or absolutely storming and scaring the crap out of me, and I don't like it.
I'll take the second one though over because at least outside it's like in the 80s, not in the 90s when it's storming. It is, and I know that like in Franklin, like Baker's Bridge, that like there's parts that have flooded of the city, and I've seen Nashville. Yeah, there's like a big part by the mall that was flooded yesterday. That people they said they couldn't go up there, and then I've seen trees down. It's been a crazy couple days, and yeah, I guess it's sunny now, but they're saying that there's a flash flood warning till 6 p.m. See, I like the storms in the summer as long as I don't have to go anywhere. As long as I don't have to leave the house because it's a little bit nicer out. Now, I would never go to church ever if there's no air conditioning. That's like the biggest way to be like, I love you, God, but there is no way I will ever go to a church that's not air conditioned in the summer. That's what I feel like that's what hell is like. So I'm not trying to go there to celebrate God.
That's actually really funny. Our pastor's been on sabbatical, so I've been doing the announcements every week, and we've moved our church into like our fellowship hall area so that there is air in that part of the building. But the first week when I was doing the announcements, I made a few heat-related jokes. Some of them went over well and some of them didn't, but I haven't tried the "it feels like hell" joke yet. Maybe I'll toss that in if I'm feeling feisty this Sunday.
Think about your audience. I think that you're a little bit different than maybe the church-going crowd is. So I don't know. But I do know that sounds horrendous to me, and that's the entire reason why like one of the great things during COVID, for people who attend church regularly is the idea that you can go online. And I would absolutely, if I attended church there,
nice.
I would never go into a church that was over 90 degrees. I just won't do it.
Watching church from my bed on my laptop was like peak existence. Sipping my coffee, watching church, peak existence. You don't have to put on makeup. You didn't have to do anything.
You can eat during it.
I know, snacks. It was so great.
So can I ask you a question? That's one of the weird things. I grew up Catholic, and one of the weird things in Catholic church is like there's some very strict rules. Like you're not supposed to eat. You don't have coffee. Like you're supposed to like just sit there. I know. And then I went to. I've been to a couple different churches in the South, just, not regularly, but a couple. And it's like, they have coffee and donuts outside and bagels. I'm like, what is happening there? And you could bring it in and eat there. And that is actually the most noticeable difference between Catholic Mass and whatever, the services are here. And it's crazy to me. Like I was always told like, you have to sit there, you have to be quiet, you can't do anything. And, obviously you don't use your phone or anything. And you're bringing in coffee, donuts, and sitting there eating while the pastor's talking. Like, this is wild to me.
That actually is. I didn't know that Catholic churches were like that because my pastor, he's like my older brother. He's like one of my best friends, but he has two core tenets in life. One of them is to always be on time, and the other one is to always have good coffee. And so we are like coffee crazy at our church. We always have hot coffee. In the summer, we have iced coffee. On Father's Day, we had cute little donuts that I ate one of them because I got there early before I realized that they were just for fathers, of which I am not one. But we always have like fun little things at church. I didn't know that Catholics were like that. No wonder you're not a Catholic anymore.
Well,
that would be a deal breaker for me.
It was like one of the biggest culture shocks. I'm like, what is happening here? It's like when like you see something. Like I sat down. It's like I remember I went to this one in a church that's actually on like in Midtown, and they have they had these great donuts, they Krispy Kreme donuts you could eat, that you could have as many as you wanted, and they have coffee. And I'm like, what is happening here? And people are sitting there with their little plates and their thing eating while the church is going on. Like, or not even church, I guess. I don't know what it's called. Mass is Catholic. I don't know what they call. I guess
it's just a church service.
Yeah,
it's
church
just a church
service. Service going on. And I was just like, I cannot comprehend what's happening here. This is so shocking to me. And then you hear the music, and like there was other differences, of course. It's a lot more casual here. You don't have to dress up, and there's not the 25-minute homily that I fall asleep for every time.
Yeah, you don't have to walk up and receive the blessing.
That was one of those moments I'm like, I don't know what to do. I feel so weird now. I don't know. Like, is this allowed? Because like you're taught these things in Catholic church. Like it's not even taught these things, and they're just norms. It's not like you're told this. So when you go outside, they're like, is this allowed? Is this is this Christian? I don't understand.
What are people doing? Are you getting into heaven because you're drinking coffee in the sanctuary?
To be clear, I like that way better though. I'm like, I get to have coffee before. Like, so I was, at least in terms of the traditions with I was a bigger fan of church here than Catholic church for sure. Now,
honestly,
at Catholic church,
for a lot of reasons.
You do get wine at Catholic church though. So
that's true.
there's a lot of good. It's all about the food and drink for me, right? That's what the experience.
Yeah. Just the entertainment preferences, the wine, the coffee. That's what you're choosing.
You have better music here. Sometimes you have like bands and like actual the churches here have like guitar players and like actual bands, not just 95-year-old women singing in a choir like that are seemingly on the edge of death. But yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of good things
about it. How did this conversation devolve into church feeling like hell and church coffee? It always does. We can't be trusted. We're going to get in trouble. One of these days they're going to stage hook us while we're doing this because we talk about such crazy things.
But to be clear, I am not, my mom is a Catholic school teacher. I'm not judging any Catholics. I'm not judging any people here. It was just an interesting take growing up a certain way and then seeing a different way of doing kind of the same. And they're both Christian denominations,
For sure.
We won't go into it. I know that, Catholics, which a lot of my family are, they consider themselves Christians. Some Christians, especially the weird ones that are kind of culty, don't consider Catholics to be Christians. Like, shut up. Catholics are Christians. I know.
Yes, say what you want. It's just different. It's just a different brand.
Yeah, you believe in Christ, you believe in God. That's pretty much the Christian value. So I do get mad when I hear people, and as somebody who I don't consider myself Catholic anymore. When people are like, "Oh, Catholics aren't really Christians," they are by literally every metric, but you just don't believe in the way they have service or a couple of their rules doesn't make them not Christian. It just makes you have disagreements.
Fully agree with you. I'm in no place to judge anybody else's. If you say you're a Christian, then I'm in. I get it. We're good. Before we get into our main content, another kind of side tangent, Mark and I want to do our We Were Right moment of the week. We've never done this before, but we must do it this time. If you listen to the podcast regularly, you'll remember that when we talked about the cocaine in the White House, we said if the investigation comes back as either it was an intern or a low-level staffer or we don't know who did it, that means it was somebody really way high up. Well, Mark, you can deliver the punchline on this one.
Well, we don't know that we were right, but we do know that they couldn't figure out whose cocaine it was, which is insane. It basically impossible because of all the cameras and everything. There's no way they couldn't at least limit it down to a couple people at a certain time. It's ridiculous. And again, I'm not one of those conspiracy theory people. There's a lot of people like that are always thinking about conspiracies.
Right.
But it absolutely was somebody high up in the White House, somebody that President Biden wants to protect, whether it's a family member, high-level staffer, I don't know. I don't know who did it.
You say a family member like you're pretending to be vague.
Well, I don't know. I don't know who else in his family does drugs. But I am not going to say it was anybody for sure. I don't know. But it is really, really convenient that the Secret Service could not figure out who it was. Because with all the cameras and all the security there, it's impossible. It's impossible. So it was somebody that they don't want to let go. And at minimum, even if they don't know for sure who it is, they certainly have it down to a couple people that were in the room at the time, and they won't even tell you that. So I think we were right on that. I think it's somebody that they don't want to let know. It wasn't just, some low level or mid-level staffer. It was probably somebody that they want to protect. So we were correct, I think.
Gold stars for us. We were right.
and it was we knew in our head, there's just no way it can come back inconclusive without them probably saying, hey, look the other way. I'm not calling it a cover up, but it's hey, maybe this footage is not that relevant to you. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Just don't talk about it. We're just not going to talk about it. So anyway, that's our We Were Right moment of the week. Now on to the main event. This week, Beacon released our conservative budget. We've done this for how many years, Mark? We work with a friend who has worked in other think tanks. He's an economist. Our policy director, Ron Schultes, works with him to come up with a conservative budget for Tennessee. Basically, what that means is Tennessee is a balanced budget state, but we don't need to spend more than taxpayers can reasonably be on the hook for. And that's what it means. It's just a way to budget. Pre-pandemic, governments weren't spending as much as they are now. We'll just say that. I was going to say all that much money, but government budgets are huge. They weren't spending as much as they were now. There were so many packages, so many incentive packages during the pandemic that governments used to help get the economy back in action. But we've got to return to pre-pandemic levels of spending. Like, the threat is over. I mean, I saw a couple yesterday wearing a mask in the hotel. I was at SEC Media Days, and there were couples wearing masks, and I was so confused because I thought we were done. But the threat is over. Things are coming back to normal. We've got to get back to pre-pandemic levels of spending. In Tennessee already, there are so many states, Florida, Tennessee, Texas, that already have good financial situations, but we got to keep it that way. And so that's why every year we release the conservative budget for Tennessee. And I've said it once, I've said it a million times. I yearn for the day that Beacon is no longer needed and there is freedom and there is accountability in government, but we still need to exist for a reason, and that's to remind lawmakers and government officials that we got to keep our finances in order if we want to keep drawing people in. Mark, I don't know if you have any additional thoughts on that, but you should check it out on our website because it is an interesting read.
Yeah, I mean, I think your point is well taken. The fact that, just because Tennessee does really, really well comparatively to other states, I think we need to kind of not compare ourselves just to other states, but to what the ideal level of government looks like, right? And that's the important thing. So it's not saying, oh, Tennessee, you're doing bad. It's like, you could still be doing better. Just because you're doing better than 45 states doesn't mean there's not areas of improvement. And it's, a lot of what Ron did with this conservative budget is it's looking forward. It's making sure that we are at this level that, things happen. There is, economic downturns, and you need to make sure that your house is financially stable. So when that happens, you can deal with it. And a lot of that is not relevant for what the state government does, just it's natural, or it has to do with federal policies. So I think that that's a good point, that we want Tennessee to be the best state possible, not just the best state in the nation, but the best state possible. And I also have one thing to say that I'm really annoyed about.
Oh, I love Mark's annoyances.
I saw a ranking of the best states and worst states to live. There's a million of those. And there was some ranking that had Tennessee in the bottom 10. And this is what I would talk about. If you see Tennessee in the bottom 10, 15, 20 anywhere, it's a terrible, awful survey that includes stuff that nobody cares about and made up criteria that you think is important. And when you say like these general terms like inclusivity, what does that even mean? How do you measure that? It's just a garbage. And, it's a garbage, essentially, very, very left perspective of what the state is. And that's like, I am just, anytime I see, look, I think you can have everyone's going to have different rankings. But if you want to talk about economic, if Tennessee's outside the top 15, it's probably an absolute garbage survey.
It's not a good ranking.
It's just, and these rankings are they're all just made up. And even the good ones, it's like, it's made up. But if you ever see that, I would just urge you to look at the details. Same thing as polling. You can see a headline and be like, oh, Tennessee's one of the worst 10 places to live. And if you actually look at what they measure, like, what? Like, oh, environmental policy of this. And yeah, that might matter to some people, but most people care about taxes, cost of living, opportunities. That's what they care about. They don't care about some localities, carbon emissions policies.
Right.
So I would just urge people. I just saw a survey that had, I think in the span of 10 days, I saw one survey had us in the top 10, one has in the bottom 10. It's always important to look at what they're surveying, because a lot of times it's just a place with a political agenda who's looking to say, hey, look at all these terrible conservative states because, oh, I don't like their policies on the environment or stuff that's probably not relevant to all that many people that live in the state.
Right. No, I totally agree. I fully agree with that. I love living in Tennessee. It's like the best place ever to live. But I think what we just really need to hammer, and you repeated it and I repeated it, it's like when you meet your fitness goals, you don't stop exercising. When you clean your house once, that doesn't mean you stop cleaning it forever. You brush your teeth once, that doesn't mean you don't go to the dentist. We don't stop maintaining just because we've done something good. Tennessee's done a lot of things good. We have to keep maintaining. The government should be treated the same way that we keep our households in order and keep ourselves in order. And that's what we strive to do when we talk about economic things. We're not saying Tennessee's bad. We're just giving recommendations to make it even better and keep it great. And
not just maintain though. I think get better. There's a lot of areas Tennessee's starting to get better. I mean, look, we can talk. I mean, the corporate welfare handouts that have been given out in the past years have been horrifying in some cases.
So bad.
Like, just because Tennessee is like you said, really good, we need to do better. We need to get better. We're good, especially compared to other states, but there's so much room for even better growth.
There's always room for improvement. Nothing's ever an A+. It
That's right.
just isn't. It's never 100%.
And keeping money in the pockets of Tennesseans is what we care the most about. And when the government goes and spends money in a
Love
way
that.
that's not appropriate, or not, just the role of what government should be doing, we're going to call them out. So yes, we're better than a lot of other states, but if we're fourth place or even first place, there's still so much. There's more room between us and perfect than there is between us and the last place thing. So just think about it that way. Last place state.
I like that. I like that a lot. We need to put that on a t-shirt. I love that. Next topic of the day, and we don't have to spend a ton of time on this, but it happened in my home state. So I really want, and I'm a true crime junkie, so I want to talk about it. I think that everybody except for Mark has heard about Carly Russell in Alabama, the woman that went missing. Just a kind of a high level of it. She was driving down the road the other night, down I-459, which I've driven down a bajillion times in my life because I lived in Birmingham for 5 years. She's driving down the highway, says she saw a toddler on the side of the road. She called 911 to report it. She gets out of her car to check on said toddler, calls a family member. Family member hears a scream, and she's gone. Line's left open. Her wig is on the ground. Her hat's on the ground. And this whole big search all over social media started for her. And, I was talking to a lot of people about it because I feel very strongly, especially after we had just talked about human trafficking, the Sound of Freedom last week. I had the worst things in my head of what could be going on, what could be happening to this woman. I was so distraught about it for days that this poor woman had been picked up by somebody. And then she reappeared in her parents' yard Sunday night. She was taken to the hospital. They've started evaluating her. Her family's gone on the Today Show. And then yesterday, there was a press conference where the Hoover Police Department started talking about her internet search history and how she had been looking up how much does it cost to get an Amber Alert on you, and the movie Taken, and getting into where she works, getting into the cash register and all these things, basically casting doubt on her story and saying all of this was made up. It's all over TikTok, made up. And I think a few points that I want to make. One, if she was having a mental health crisis, that should be taken very seriously. Two, as a true crime person, I listened to 2 Dateline podcasts this morning. I'm a very early riser, but I listened to 2 Dateline podcasts this morning. I'm a Crime Junkies member. I listen to these things all the time. And I didn't think about this until I saw a video on social media about it, that so often people of color, when there's a crime committed against them or when they go missing, abductions, anything like that, violence against people of color isn't taken very seriously, especially Black women. When they go missing, you see Gabby Petito and Natalie Holloway. We still talk about those cases, but cases where Black women go missing is not taken super seriously. And this was being taken so seriously. So for me, as someone who listens to these things and hears about these foundations that help with these cases of Black women and women of color, I was like, finally, some attention on this issue. And it's starting to look now, the police have cast doubt on her story, and it's starting to look like she might have faked the whole thing. It makes me sad for all future cases and past cases and the woman that I saw on social media talking about this was a Black woman. And she said, they don't take us seriously already. Why did you do this? And it makes me sad for past and future cases that I worry that the public, us crime junkies will always take these things seriously, but that the public will continue to discount. It doesn't do anything to help the cause of trying to get more and more attention on these cases. That to me is really sad.
And I let me kind of add one thing too. I think that I just want to make sure that I'm hearing you right. But when you say take seriously, you mean by the media, not by the police, correct?
Correct. The police do. It's just the attention, the nationwide attention is not on. The police take them seriously all the time. They investigate them. Nationwide attention, things don't sweep the nation very often when it is a person of color that has the crimes committed against them. And this was like a huge case. It was all over the place. Her parents went on the Today Show. I mean, this is all over the place. And if it does turn out that she faked this for one reason or another, it just doesn't help. It just doesn't help the cause of having attention brought to cases like these.
Yeah, it's actually interesting too because I've listened to. I mean, I listen to a lot of true crime podcasts, not as many as you, but like,
I
you
don't
know,
think anybody listens to as many as me.
a lot compared to normal people, and I have noticed that they, especially not just Black women, but I think Native American women really
Mm-hmm.
there is a real lack of
That's
media
the
interest.
worst.
Which, I mean, there's a little bit of difference in there just because some of that land is not land that police can actually use if it's on the reservation.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, and I think that we hear about racism all the time. I think a lot of times when it's not actually there, to be honest. I think this
Mm-hmm.
is one of the examples where I don't know if it's racism, but there is a clear discrepancy between the way that national news runs with, a young, cute white woman and,
Mm-hmm.
really, somebody of color. And like you said, women it seems to be worse for them, but
Women, yeah.
it is sad. And I also think that with everything that we talk about, we don't know what happened still. So yes,
We don't.
could be a hoax. I still can't really get in my mind what she was gaining from this. So
I don't know what the goal would have been at all.
My guess is
I agree with you.
it's more likely to be a mental health type thing, or there's something we don't know. I mean, let's not forget that there is some really, really savvy, smart criminals out there that could have done searches on her computer that are able to do that, or somebody who knew her that was in her house. We don't know.
Right.
So like everything else, I think you want to wait and see. I guess I am just living under rocks. I haven't seen anything about this. I guess we've just been busy at work.
I know it was all over every feed, and maybe it's because I am an Alabama native and I still follow all the Alabama news outlets, but all of the crime things that I follow on TikTok and on Instagram, they were all talking about it. I hope for her sake that it was an easily treatable mental health situation and not something that she made up or something that she actually went through. I hope, to me, that feels like the best case scenario is that something happened in her brain and she freaked out and did this, not that she planned it or that she actually went through it. To me, that feels like the best case scenario of our options.
And also, I think that we need to remember this just generally. Just because one person, even if she did lie about it, that has nothing to do with Black women generally. So the idea that
for sure
one person can do that, it would make you, see, this is what, it's just, nobody should take what one person does as something like, we shouldn't take this seriously because one person did. That happens all the time. If you did it for, a bunch of white people have lied about being abducted. I mean, this happens all the time for all races.
That's exactly the point I'm trying to make. Yeah. Is that just because one person did this does not, that's exactly the point I'm trying to make. I worry that I'll never stop taking all these cases seriously. I know you won't either, but the media tends to generalize. And so I worry that if this does come out as she faked it, that there will be a sweeping broad generalization. So whether or not you are a crime junkie, please hear this. Don't make a generalization about it when you hear of stories like this. And we have to be vigilant to fully investigate and take these things seriously, especially when people go missing, especially in this day and age when human trafficking is one of the most profitable things in the world, when women go missing or when children go missing. We got to take all these cases seriously.
My guess is that this turns into a lifetime thing within 2 weeks, probably, where they do because they always do those 1 hour things that are kind of not good. They're we didn't spend a lot of time doing this, but we want to get it first, and it won't be that good, it won't be that informative. But you saw this happen live, now let's do something. A lot of the Murdaugh stuff was like that too, whereas
I know
it wasn't great, but they liked it. It's interesting doing in real time, and it's this just happened. I know you paid attention. Watch this horribly done documentary because it's the first thing out.
I know Monday morning when Blake sent me the headline that she had been found, I texted back immediately, and my first response was, I can't wait for the podcast. I can't wait for the podcast on this, but now it seems like the podcast might be even spicier. The Dateline episode might be even spicier than it would have been before. This is going to be some spicy content from my Dateline friends. Moving on to something that Mark wanted to talk about that does have to do with documentaries and entertainment, and surprisingly, Aaron Rodgers. I'm glad that I will say Ron is an Aaron Rodgers sympathizer, a real defender of Aaron Rodgers, and he's on paternity leave, so maybe he's not listening to this, but I have only ever watched one season of Hard Knocks on HBO, and I called them the Indiana Colts earlier, and it was brought to my attention as the Indianapolis Colts. I had the flu, and I wasn't really paying attention, but there's a show on HBO called Hard Knocks, and they follow around one NFL team per season during their training seasons. And this year it's the New York Jets, and Aaron Rodgers has just gone to the Jets. And If someone can name me one thing that Aaron Rodgers doesn't get his panties in a twist about, then I'll maybe take him seriously. But it seems like he's always got an issue. And this time his issue is apparently Hard Knocks. Mark, what's going on?
Well, look, so yeah, and just to your thing, basically they film the team every moment, basically from training camp through the preseason, kind of before the season starts.
Mm-hmm.
As they do, they catch everything. And Aaron Rodgers is apparently not happy that they're going to be doing that. And for maybe the first time ever, I'm on Aaron Rodgers' side for that. They get a lot of your personal life and they get a lot of the team dynamics. And, for some reason, like a lot of times you want to keep that stuff in house. There's going to be fights.
Especially Aaron Rodgers. He's got a temper on him.
and it's a new team, right? But it's like you want to keep that all in house because the whole point of this is like you're trying to build as a team, and there could be a fight or something like that, or they got somebody saying something. I know, years ago, the last time the Jets were on, Antonio Cromartie, who was a cornerback, basically had like, I don't know, like 13 kids from like 9 different women, and that all came out there. And it's like it made him look bad. He's talking about all his kids' names, and it's like,
yeah, that's Nick Cannon status.
There's no real benefit to being on the show. You get some publicity, but it doesn't help your team, doesn't help your chemistry. And Aaron Rodgers is going to a new team. He wants to win a Super Bowl. And I understand it's like, it's another, you're trying to get your team together. You're trying to win games. And this is a new team, and you're trying to understand each other and form this bond. And having the TV, and it is a distraction to that. It really is. I would never want my team to be on there. And not only that, sometimes you feel like you can't be yourself because you're always in front of the camera. Mm-hmm. So I'm actually fully on board with Aaron Rodgers. It's a great show. It's a really interesting watch. Whether you like football or not, it's an interesting watch. But I think he's right. If I was the quarterback or if I was any player on that team or the coach, I'd be like, I'm not doing this. And for example, Bill Belichick apparently has told them he'll never do that for the Patriots. He'll never be on that show because it's a distraction.
Well, Aaron Rodgers' argument is a reasonable one, but I'm not a reasonable person when it comes to my entertainment. So I'm on the opposite side for 2 reasons. 1, I don't like Aaron Rodgers. And 2, with the Writers Guild strike going on, I'm not going to have anything to watch but documentaries. So we need more and more documentaries so that I can watch them. And a docuseries like this will be on my list as we run out of shows to watch.
I think one thing that you could be a little bit better on is that you judge a lot of things whether you like the person
Correct.
or not, and not
Correct.
what the argument is.
100%.
And sometimes you need to step back and say, oh, I do hate Aaron Rodgers. All the reasons I hate him are valid. But in this one case, he's not wrong.
I tend to be an all or nothing kind of girl.
Yeah, I see that.
So if I don't like Aaron Rodgers, then everything he says to me is out the window. I could be better about that. I probably won't be, but I am acknowledging that I could be.
As long as you acknowledge
at least
it.
I can. I'm self-aware. I know that I do that, and I don't plan on changing it. Before we go, speaking of the NFL, this weekend is my Super Bowl. Okay, this is my personal Super Bowl. We have the 2 movies that I have been waiting for so long to come out. Tonight, I will be seeing Oppenheimer. Tomorrow night, I will be seeing Barbie. It is truly the moment that I've been waiting for. I think that all of my social media feeds, now that Carly Russell in Alabama has been found, everything on my social media feeds is Barbenheimer content. I don't know why they decided to release these 2 movies on the same weekend, but man, oh man, am I happy about it. I wish that I could do a double feature on Saturday, but I've got a wedding planning gig that I'm doing Saturday night. This Thursday night, Friday night combo of Oppenheimer and Barbie is the best thing that's ever happened to me ever, period, in my entire life. Now, Mark, I know you're rolling your eyes. I know you disagree because I tend to use a lot of hyperbole. I actually think that this is the best. Like I said, self-aware.
You said that last weekend. You said the best night of your life was seeing Blake 182. You can't have a best. You can't have a best night basically 4 times every 2 months, and somehow it's always.
I think I can. I think it shows that my life is just going up and up and up and up and up. I think when I continue to have best days and best nights of my life, that just means I'm trending in the right direction. But I really think
recency bias.
He always says that. I saw Blink-182 this weekend, and Mark was like, it wasn't your favorite concert, it's recency bias. And maybe you're right, but I'd like to think it was the best night of my life.
You said Taylor Swift changed your life, and it was the greatest night of your life. I can't imagine how...
That was 2 months ago. That was 2 months ago.
I can't deal with it.
changed my life again. I just think that it shows that my life is trending up. I keep doing fun things, I keep having great experiences, and my life is trending up.
Well,
I
you have no
also know
memory.
that
Maybe you have no memory. Is that the problem? That like your memory
oh my
disappears after a
gosh.
week? Because that might make
Am I
sense.
Dory?
Maybe.
Am I Dory? I think I
Maybe.
might be Dory. Yeah. Wow. That I need to really evaluate my life at this point.
You do.
But I know, Mark, you like don't give a crap about Oppenheimer or Barbie. You don't even know what Oppenheimer is about. Which again, have you been living under a rock? There are so many things culturally that you just are. They're just going over your head.
Well, I knew it was a thing, though. I mean, I knew Oppenheimer was a movie, and I knew that it's a famous director and a lot of famous actors. I just didn't care to know more about
Christopher
it.
Nolan,
I have
Emily
heard of it.
Blunt.
Yeah, I know who's in
Well,
it, and none of those people really appeal that much to me, so fine.
So, are you telling me that you're not going to see either of these movies?
I'm definitely not going to see Barbie. I don't understand why that's even something that's popular. Like that was,
That is,
I guess
you
it's
and
a
Blake
nostalgia
can
thing.
commiserate. When we have our double dates talk about Vanderpump Rules, you and Blake can talk about how neither of you are interested in Barbie, but he is going with me.
How is that? I just don't
There's
understand
no
how
option.
that's famous. I guess it's the cast, because obviously you have Ryan Gosling, and obviously he's a big deal.
Margot Robbie, Kate
yeah,
McKinnon.
Yeah, I don't
it's
think
a
Kate
huge
McKinnon's that big of a
deal.
deal, but the first two.
Okay,
and yeah,
I
it's
love
like,
Kate McKinnon.
I mean, she's fine. Like, I don't think anybody's going to see Kate McKinnon movie. But yeah, it's like, I just don't understand. And again, we don't know that's actually going to be popular just because there's a lot of social media stuff about it. And I will say that Barbie, for whatever it's worth, from a professional level, I'm really impressed with their campaign. It's everywhere in social media.
Yes.
They have a lot of things messing with that. So like, I'm impressed with their rollout, and they're doing a great job marketing. I have to imagine they've spent a ton of money on that.
So much money.
But I have a feeling that's going to be one of those movies that everyone sees like, yeah, it wasn't that good. I don't know why I got so excited about it. It's like 5 out of 10. That's my guess.
It's gotten great reviews. It's gotten such good reviews. Like
you
Rotten Tomatoes. And
yeah, you're always an interesting person because you like to ignore the reviews of movies that you do like. You're like, oh, well, no, it's because of this and this. So that's why the reviews are bad. And then when the reviews are good, you're happy to say how good the reviews are for the movie. But you don't like to answer for the movies that you say are incredible that other people did not like. So
here's the thing. Here's the thing about me and Mark. I am riddled with flaws. I know what they are. Sometimes I choose to ignore them. Mark puts them right in my face. Not even on a silver platter, more like on a whipped cream pie dish, just like right in my face all the time.
Just inconsistency. Not. It's just that you are very happy to do that when it suits you, and happy to ignore it when it doesn't. Also, the Barbie movie got 1 out of 10 on IMDb.
Okay.
And it got 89% on Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. But these are from
the critics have seen it, but audience hasn't seen it yet.
Yes, the critics don't like it then.
No, Rotten Tomatoes is critic score. IMDb aggregates critic and audience score.
Okay. So basically we have no idea if it's good. We have no idea if it's good or not, and we have no idea if people like it or not because it didn't even come out. So let's wait on that. I bet it's not good. Oppenheimer, I'm assuming, is going to be good based on what people are looking for. Maybe not. I think any movie that's 3 hours. I'm probably not going to watch.
It's going to be tough. I know it's going to be tough.
Long, and especially because it's like it's not a fun movie, right? It's like a serious topic. It's not going to be like
it's going to be hard to watch.
Yeah, it's not like thriller where it's like a bunch of people getting in car crashes and shooting people.
Okay, well, that's not my vibe either. But we watched the MSNBC documentary about Oppenheimer the other night. His story is sad. He's got a sad story.
I would say that you see on MSNBC with a grain of salt, so who knows if that's
probably true. But it seemed, based on what we saw, that he's got a sad story. And I think this movie's going to be a total downer, which is why I insisted that we see Oppenheimer first and Barbie second, because I'm going to need an upper after that. So tonight, 7 p.m., going to see Oppenheimer. I'm going to be dragging tomorrow because it's a 3-hour-long movie. But I think what's so cool about Oppenheimer is Christopher Nolan shot it on IMAX film. And we see, you can go to most big cities and see a theater of IMAX, but there are only, I think, like 20-something true IMAX movie theaters in the entire United States, and Nashville has one of them. So Opry Mills IMAX is a true IMAX theater. We're going tonight to see it on IMAX in the true experience. The tickets are more expensive, but I think it's going to be worth it because it's the way that the director envisioned it. And if you've ever seen a Christopher Nolan film, you know that his vision is incredible. So I'm excited to see it, Mark. I hope that you will. I'll let you know. I will, you know what? I'm going to let you know my honest thoughts. I'm going to be very honest about this because I'm going to be self-aware. You have pointed out my flaw and I'm going to work on it. And
let me be honest,
very honest about how I feel.
Even if you are honest about how you feel, I don't think we have the same taste a lot of times in movies. I think we have the same taste in some television shows.
That's true.
Even if you really do love it, it doesn't mean I'll like it. And I think that you could be honest about that and say it was one of the best movies ever. I'd still say, well, me and you are not. And I'm not blaming you on that one. I think that I don't have the same taste as a lot of the population sometimes. So I'm not saying just you. So just because you like it and everyone else likes it doesn't mean that I would like it. But yes, let me know. I definitely will not see either of those in theaters. But I definitely won't see Barbie at all. But if Oppenheimer is really good and it comes to video, I would watch it on if it's on HBO Max or something.
Okay. All right. We can settle for that. We can get down with that. Well, if you're seeing either of those movies this weekend, let us know and we can, you can talk about it with me and not Mark. Like we said at the top of the show, check out our website for the Conservative Tennessee budget. Our team did a great job putting it together. You're going to want to read it. It's really good. Mark, any final thoughts before we peace out for the week?
I think I'm good.
All right. Well, this has been Decaf, a production of the Beacon Center of Tennessee. If you don't already, you should subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcast. We'll catch you next week. Have a great weekend.